Yo everyone, a new Patreon post has gone public for SCP-SL and... Wait, what is that? Is that a public Steam post covering upcoming things like a Revolver Rework, Heavy Containment Zone Overhaul, and even the— Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's begin with what the Patreon post has to say, shall we? The start of the post begins with a foreword written by Hubert Mosca. He explains that while working on the experimental weapons rework, which I covered in a video that will be in the top right, Northwood ran into limitations with the framework of firearms in general. They decided that turning their attention to remedy these issues and even adding some new things would be beneficial to future development and health of SCP-SL. The goal of their changes is to lessen the beginning learning curve of weapons, allowing players to be on a more level playing ground in gunfights, but still allowing skillful plays to play out. The first of these changes is bullet tracers. When a weapon is fired, you'll now actually be able to see the bullet fly through the air. This means you can now easily see lines of fire and the directions that you're being shot at. You'll even hear whooshing sounds of the bullets if they nearly miss you. Only occurring if they are horizontal to you due to human backs not being very flexible. It should be mentioned that tracers made by teammates will appear more dull and be less frequently made. Also, it should be heavily stated that the bullets are still hit scan. All of these effects are cosmetic and calculated after a hit is made. Still cool nevertheless though. On top of the new bullet whizzing by sounds, there will also be some new impact sounds when bullets hit something. Or someone. This and the bullet tracers will hopefully lower the surprise of sniper and suppressor setups down long hallways. With this update, inaccuracy of the guns are going to be getting some changes, just to make the system a bit more simple to understand in general. Instead of weapon accuracy being purely based off of weight and length of the weapon, guns will now be separated into different categories of weapon, like pistols, shotguns, rifles, etc. This allows Northwood to define the exact minimum and maximum of movement penalties for each category. So basically, accuracy will still be dictated by length by weight, but the stats will be specifically tailored for the type of weapon you're using. Lasers are finally getting a nerf on their necessity. After the update, all weapons will get a lowered penalty for running and gunning with them. On top of this, the laser will no longer affect running accuracy. This stops it from being a run and gun powerhouse attachment while still allowing you to hip fire when needed. This is a pretty simple change, but recoil patterns for all guns will now be changed to be more simplified, mainly by reducing the sudden horizontal sway in some patterns. All of the semi-auto pistols, and maybe even the revolver, will now automatically fire when holding down the fire button. I'm very interested by this change and how it'll feel, so we'll just have to see about that. Scopes have gotten some changes. Firstly, night vision scopes are now less blurry. Secondly, and more importantly, telescopic scopes of certain weapons will have an even further zoom, and using them will slightly increase the density of fog, hopefully allowing the two players to see each other when an altercation breaks out. Finally, we move on to some miscellaneous changes, such as... Oh, wait, the COM-15 got a buff? No, that's impossible. The COM-15 is going to have an actual purpose other than just arresting D-Class for candy and making the COM-45? This does put a smile on my face. Anyways, yeah, the COM-15 will now have faster draw speed, increased fire rate, and capability for automatic shots. SMGs in general are also going to be getting a buff, allowing them to be more controllable in all situations. More specifically though, the FSP-9 will be getting a change to its draw speed, as Northwood describes it as unbelievably slow when using a grip or stock. The E11SR is going to be getting a touch-up to its rifle receiver, either outright removing or significantly reducing the penalties of using it, as the length and weight generally make up for its use. Also, the AK will be getting a small buff, reducing its crazy recoil. And finally, on top of the previously mentioned changes to gunplay that will surely change the FRMG's ability to absolutely dominate, the MG will also be getting its recoil and firing rate fine-tuned to make it a bit more fair in gunplay. Now that we've gone through the Patreon post, we can finally get into what was said in Hubert's Steam post, and man, it is juicy. To start us off, version 13.5 will be going into public beta. If you want the general basics of what's in this update, feel free to check out my video on it, but I would like to update that video real quick, as they've made some changes since I last talked about the update. To make things just real quick, 049's HP is now increased by 100 from the normal version versus 400, his 20% armor was removed, and his time to revive victims has been shortened by a few seconds. SCP-106 has also only had his HP increased by 100 versus his old 300 increase. His Maximum Shield has been reduced to 600 from 750, the cooldown for his teleporting abilities were reduced by 5 seconds, and coming out of the floor was made 0.2 seconds faster. SCP-207 was made slightly less bad damage-wise, now dealing 1.5 HP a second on 1 cola, 2.5 on 2, and 4 a second on the max 3 cola. SCP-079 has gotten his XP gains returned back to normal and has gotten a nice bug fix affecting Tesla gates. SCP-173's Tantrum ability will now be unusable while you're in the sustain period, in breakneck speeds or not. Sustain is the eye being on your screen for the uninitiated. SCP-1853 has gotten a bunch of bug fixes that I will show on screen now. And finally, multiple descriptions for items were updated, the FRMG got its bullet penetration reduced, and Herobrine was removed. Alright, let's finally start talking about some of the really cool new stuff. First up is the Heavy Containment Zone Visual Overhaul. Everything you're seeing right now is in its early stages and made by artists only recently added to Northwood, but even with that being said, wow does this look incredible. I love the small details like the scaffolding in the test room, the spinning lights and fan. It's just so cool, and I'm honestly just so excited to see what the final result's gonna look like. It should be noted that this is something the devs are comfortably working on and is not distracting them from other level design projects. Next up, we have the Revolver Rework. The current Revolver's model was, fun fact, the first model created for Parabellum. The artist behind it, Mikkel, has learned a few new skills since those 3.5 years ago. Wait, it's been 3+ years? Damn, I'm old. Anyway, since Mikkel didn't have many things to do, and with the opportunity of a weapons rewrite, he thought to take it upon himself to improve the Revolver's model after a long time of wanting to do so. However, the model isn't the only thing that'll be getting changed, it'll also be having new mechanics. This includes new attachments like a flashlight, and a 7-shot cylinder containing .410 buckshot rounds. So yes, you can now have a pocket shotgun to go with your normal shotgun. There will be new sick animations in this update too, as seen here, and there's something that I can't quite tell you about, but it's super cool and I cannot wait to talk about it in the future. If you haven't already, I'd highly recommend checking out Northwood's Patreon, as they've been showing off a lot of cool stuff as of late. To wrap up, we also have other miscellaneous projects Northwood has been working on. One of these is a possible solution to elevator camping, but they haven't finalized anything yet, so we're not told what exactly it could be. Either way, screw you, Alpha Warhead. Another project in the works is the Reinforcement Overhaul, a lot of it being tested back in Pairs number 4 back in October. This overhaul will include new objectives affecting which team will spawn and how often. There will also be mini waves, which is a small respawn wave after a full respawn, allowing those who died early a chance to get back into the game. There's also some other stuff that I can't quite talk about just yet, so apologies for that. Very cool stuff though, I assure you. And to end things off, you know, just as a little aside, human models have been fully reworked and Northwood is in the middle of animating them. No, I am not kidding, you can read this for yourself in the post. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.